Welcome everyone. I'm Zephy Davy, and this is my channel in YouTube. And of course, I have with me for this full moon experience that we said we're going to be talking about grandmother songbird or songbird grandmother. And it's an amazing for us to decide to do this for full moons and new moons. I think I like this consistency, about me and you doing it together. And I think it really helps our audience really kind of focus in the information that we give them about the energy, because this is going to be a very interesting, but I'm not going to say tough, but it is going to be a tough dark moon. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Well, like we were talking a little bit before the show, it's that this is the last full moon of 2022. It's the cold moon. We're getting ready for our winter time, and it's really about standing still. And when we're in the stillness is usually when everything comes up. So the emotions we've been burying, the thoughts we've been hiding, the busyness slows down a little bit more, and we're invited to enter into the coldness, into the yin, into the more negative parts of life to heal them. And for this moon, since it is the end of 2022, it's a good time to release those energies, release those sadness, release the depression, release things that have happened this year that were of a darker nature, so that you can prepare for the coming of the light. Because then there's solstice, which is the transition, and then we have the Gregorian New Year, which is the beginning of the next year. And so there's a lot of energy. And then, of course, there's Christmas thrown right in there. And so, just to stir it all up and yeah, there you go. And so I invite everybody who's listening to take that time to go into the sacred darkness, to clear, to reflect and review the growth that you've had, as well as the places and spaces that you're still developing and working on. And preparing this time. Also, full moons are actually the most powerful time to do rituals and to do manifestations.
Exactly. 2022 has been a very difficult year for every one of us, not all over the world. It's not just, few people. Everybody has gone through these ups and downs, because the past 2-3 years with the pandemic, a lot of people sit inside, they stayed home and they were not as busy, and a lot of things of the past came up, and there were, a lot of doubts and where we're going and what's going to happen. So having this sacred, cold, dark moon that we're going into, because I love the word sacred. I think the moon is sacred no matter what their feelings are, whatever is going on. The moon is a sacred space, even if it's to let go of your darkness, or if to realize your lightness, So I think it's very interesting for us to talk about a very simple ritual that everybody can do in this full moon, because I think the rituals, everybody does rituals. Everybody, lights a candle, everybody breathes, everybody writes down, or whatever. Everybody does different rituals, and you hear them everywhere. But I feel, and I know you feel the same way, the sacredness of the ritual is to actually sit still, breathe, and empower your ritual, correct?
Yeah, yeah, because a lot of times people come to me and they say, well, it's not working. It's not working because you're not putting the time and the energy and actually sitting. Because most of the time, I think what people do with rituals now, because of law of attraction and manifestation and all this stuff, is they look at a ritual like something to get.
Yes.
Like, oh, if I put this altar down, I'm going to get something. If I give chocolate, or if I give food, or if I do something, it's to get something. It's not to get something. It's to honor. It's to respect the spirit world. It's to develop a connection. It's to honor the space, like you said, the stillness, the silence within yourself, which is where you are having your power from. That's the power. That's the feminine power. The darkness, the black light right? The coldness, the energy of the feminine is dark. It's the earth that
Yeah,
you put the seed into, that then you keep watering it and growing it, then it will become something. But I think where we're heading, and that's why we're going into new moons and full moons again, is that we have to honor the natural cycles of that energy.
exactly. Absolutely.
Because if we don't, then we're living in a chaotic world where everything's upside down.
And
You know,
that's why 2022 or like 2020 and 21 and 22 has been upside down for us to actually see that part of ourselves.
right? Yeah, it's very blatantly clear now. It's like everything is upside down. And so I feel like the next energy, the next wave for the next coming cycle, especially for the next generation coming up, is returning to the natural cycles of woman, especially as a woman. Because when you return to those natural cycles, you know when to begin something, when to empower something, and when to finish something. And with full moons, actually, those are like full powers.
Yes.
Like when we do a release energy ritual during this time, it's going to be in the full power.
But also, we have to understand and empower ourselves by sitting still, being silent, connect to, maybe we can write some things that we want to release, breathe them, really focus on, not just write them just because you just want to write them, but just put all your effort and energy in it. Because, like we said earlier, people just go very quickly do a ritual because they saw it on TV or they saw it on YouTube or whatever. And then, excuse me, and because they saw that ritual, they just do it very quickly and then they go on and the work. It doesn't work. That's why it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And also, they're getting it from somebody or something that might be completely different than themselves.
That's
It
true.
might be something that is not even connecting to them, but they saw it and, oh, let me try it. And it's not in their resonance. It's not, it's, I always see people buy a bunch of supplies and herbs and crystals and they're going to do this thing. And then it's like, you could have just did a very simple thing. You could have had a piece of paper. You could have wrote down things. And I think another aspect of it is to really feel it, to embody it, to not make it separate from yourself. Like, oh, I just want to get rid of this stuff. Not like that, to really honor what it is.
And it's inside of you. That stuff is inside of you. When you write it down, you're actually looking at it and going, oh, that is me. I have that and I have that, but I'm ready to let go with honor and respect and love for myself. And I think that's what we forget. That's exactly what we forget. And yes, doing any ritual, that if you not embody it first of all for you, and then embody it as you're writing it, because as we know, our hands connects to a heart chakra, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So as we write it down, we transfer that energy into the writing,
Right.
what we write. So that's, to me, that would be the simplest ritual that we can do, is embody ourselves, like you said, and embody your ritual. And even if you make an altar, focus on your altar, focus what you, in everything that you put on your altar is not just because you saw it on the, new age store or the crystal store or whatever. Is like, does that make sense to you? Does that feel, even the herbs that we buy, correct? The supplies that we buy.
Yeah.
Because I do huge pujas, but do I connect to the supplies? Do I make them mine?
Yeah, and where are you getting them? Are they in that same energy and that frequency? Everything matters in ritual.
I
I
agree.
think that's the part that we forget, because when we do ceremony and stuff, that herb and that stuff we use is grown just for ceremony.
Yes.
Right. And in this modern age, everybody just goes to YouTube or this, that, and the other, and they say, oh, okay, well, let me get this, let me get that, and we don't know where that comes from. We don't actually know. And I feel like as we go through time and because we're in a baby state of spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like as it matures, people will be more aware of that stuff. And I feel like they will go back to simpler things.
Yes, because also, when you buy something, it has to be just specific for your ritual. It's not like you buy salt and then you use salt for cooking and then you take the cup and
Right.
put it back.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
you focus, you encounter the salt, the whole bag, and you say, "This is for my ritual." That's what I do, you know?
Yeah, 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 exactly. This
Every-
is for this purpose. And then you empower that with that purpose.
Exactly.
It's almost like I think where we have to remember is that it's a being too. It's
Ex-
an energy, it's a frequency, it has a spirit, it has a life. And if you just treat it like your kitchen salt or your, whatever, it becomes that. But when you put that specific purpose into it and you say, this is only used for this, then it becomes sacred.
Exactly.
It becomes meaningful. It becomes something that you honor because now it's part of your practice.
Yeah.
And I think last moon we talked about clearing the junk.
Yeah.
Remember the clips? Talking about the spiritual junk sale, and that's what it is like you get rid of the junk that is just mundane and has no meaning, and now you put meaning into whatever it is that you use. Like in Tibet, many people are just very poor, and so they might have one bowl that they use for themselves and for their altar, and they'll drink their water, and then they'll drink, they'll give the water to the altar. So it's not about like how much stuff you have. It's about the meaning and the purpose behind that. And I think that's also what the empowered ritual is that it's not about what the paper is or the candle or it's about you
Empowering that from you.
empowering that, and then it becomes a mirror, and it helps you to look at yourself.
Exactly. That's what ritual.
Ultimately, yeah, that's what rituals are, is just a way of self-growth and empowerment. And it's not a how.
Yeah.
It's not a how. And you're connecting to the elements of fire, right? You're connecting to the elements of that paper, which could be earth. Maybe
Yes.
it came from a tree, right? You're connecting to these energies that are there to support you too.
Yeah. And having these baby steps. I mean, we've been, in the spiritual path for many, many years, and we call it New Age. But I think now it's a deeper spirituality. There's like a newborn of, I don't know how to say it, maybe the 1,000-year-old self that he used to be able to do those rituals and understand them, not what is modern. That's why I call it ancient. It's
Yeah,
like it's
but
like
it has a modern twist. So in the Tonopoali, it's the Malinali energy. It's the medicine woman. It's the ancient wisdom, but she was left behind in the last cycle, and she's just coming back, right? But the way she's coming back is individual and unique to every person.
yes.
And I think that's what the new age is it's just like a stepping stone. What I've always said about the new age is like, you're not supposed to get stuck in it.
No.
You're not supposed to go from Reiki to this, to this, to this, you're not supposed to go down 10,000 paths and end up lost in the woods. You're supposed to pick one. you know, you're supposed to pick one. Like for you, you picked Tantra, right? So Tantra became your path.
That's all I practice at now.
Right? That's all you practice right now. All I practice is a shamanic path. I don't like go down all those other paths. And it's also the same thing with the teacher. When you find a good teacher, you stick with the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, in the beginning you might go down different roads. I was lucky I didn't have that where I went from this teacher to that teacher, but some people do. But ultimately you're supposed to pick a path and a way.
Well, in my path, I started many, many years ago with a male tantric teacher, and he
Mhm.
brought me to my female teacher now, which is, she's an amazing yogini, and I love her and respect her, and I'm focused with her. That's it. My practice, it's with her now. It's waking that feminine. It's the feminine that has been hidden and has been in this maybe cave. Maybe we can call it cave, or being underground for so many years. And now it's connecting also to Venus being behind the sun, and now she's peeking a little bit out. I talked about that in my previous video with an astrologer, but she's peeking out now, and then look at the amazing thing that happened. Women in Iran now won. They don't have to wear the burqa anymore to go out. The police that it was checking they call it the I'm trying to translate it, but it's like to check you if you're a good person, if you follow the Quran. It was a police that you had to follow the Quran. You know what I mean? If you walked on the streets or whatever. And they used to take women and put them in jail if they didn't have the scarf correctly, whatever, if they didn't wear the right things. That has been done, and it just happened. I mean, to me, that's great news that the feminine is coming out of that cave slowly, and the goddess is going to be there protecting us. And I think we need to look at that as sacred moon. We need to look at it.
Yeah, woman is coming out of her hiding. And that's what we talked about in the previous video too, is that just in 2021, 12 on the winter solstice of 21 was when in the calendar she came out, she came back.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are seeing woman rising. We see the woman coming out of her hiding. She no longer has to wear all that. And we were talking about how beautiful the women in Iran are, and we don't ever get to see them.
No, because the Arabic women, it doesn't matter if they're from Iran, Afghanistan, Dubai or whatever they are, the gorgeous,
beautiful
women from Lebanon. I mean, just these countries are such a powerful countries for me. I love those countries, Jordan. I mean, come on.
I know, they're gorgeous women, and they have incredible minds and incredible hearts. And some of the most beautiful people I've ever met were Middle Eastern women. And we don't really get to see them so much. We don't get to hear their voices. We don't get to see what they actually look like because they're covered. And I feel like that's now the divine feminine saying, now let's embrace all the women. Let's see them. Well, let's see what they look like.
Because that group per se, the Arabic group, the speak Arabic, has been one of the most suppressed women. Mm-hmm. Like the suppression is so big for them. We Western women come out, but we get judged. The Western women get judged, but the Arabic women cannot even. You don't know them. The cover, you see nothing. The only thing can see their face and their hair. That's interesting. Their hair, only their husbands. Do you know that?
Yeah. Only the husbands can see them. And there's that joke that underneath all that is like couture and all the high fashion. We can't see it. They're actually they're very wealthy, a lot of them, and they're wearing like all the latest styles underneath that. I think that was like a Sex and the City movie or something.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh wow, they're wearing that, but we wouldn't know. And so you think about those places too where it's a very male dominant society. Like in Iran, they can't even go out without a man.
Yeah, that's why it was the police there, to just
to
go if they cannot even, they couldn't even drive.
You can't drive, you can't go out, you are always under a man. Yeah. So talk about women's freedom, that they can go out maybe and actually not have to worry about somebody looking at them or judging them or taking them to jail or something. And I feel like that is the bigger step towards the divine feminine. She's coming out in all these, and we're going to see that, I think, all over the world. We're going to see women, and like the Dalai Lama said, it's the Western woman who's going to change the world.
Yeah.
And I think that in the West, we take that for granted. We never had to experience that. Most of us.
No.
Most of us have never experienced that. I know, like in the 70s and stuff, women couldn't go get a credit card, and they couldn't, they were very much under their husband or fathers. But us women now, we don't know what that's like.
No, but still, there is women in business that really still get paid less than if they have the same level. Say the man is an executive and a woman is an executive, because I have a lot of clients like that. The woman gets less. of the
The
why?
woman gets less, but she's not completely pushed out.
No,
She's
but
not, she's able to have a career, she's able to do that. That's just like the next step, right? Is well, I think what's just naturally going to happen is just women take over, and they they get to those levels where, they're like, okay, women are making the same or more.
and that's the cycles of the full moon and the new moon, and I mean, and then and the dark moon in between. That is the cycles that we need to start connecting with again, and to find, to actually find our voice. But our voice to me is actually starting believing what we hear inside and act upon.
Yeah, not monitoring it.
Exactly. Not analyzing, because that's very masculine. To analyze it is very masculine.
Well, and it's conditioned. Like in school, who are the most talkative are always the boys.
Yeah.
Women, there's so many studies on that. Girls, they don't talk as much as men. And from a young age, our voices are suppressed and filtered and monitored. And what will other people think? Like, men don't care about that. Most men. No, men in business and stuff, they are trained not to care.
Exactly.
They're trained not to care. And women are trained to, like, always be apologetic for existing. They're trained to, like, hold it here in that heart chakra, like we're talking about the hands and stuff. And the biggest thing is to just, like, release it. So I think another ritual that you can do, this is a shamanic practice, is scream.
Yes, or sing.
Yeah. Go to the mountain, that's what we do, and ask the mountain spirits to take that to, like, or to the water or to wherever. Yeah, you can sing, but sometimes you want to scream, maybe you want to cry, maybe just release that, because part of the cold moon is actually about sacred rage.
That's true. And you know what I used to do when I used to live in Sedona? This is very funny. Laugh. I used to get on my car and drive up the canyon and scream.
Yeah.
I used to do it naturally.
Yeah, it's a good place to do it too.
And I'm like, if anybody sees me driving and screaming, that was just one of my rituals. And I didn't know it was a shamanic practice. I'm talking like 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And I just would drive up there and then either cry and scream, or either one or both.
Yeah.
And it's very powerful practice, because it eats everything, everything.
It's opening too.
Your throat chakra.
Yeah, it's opening and releasing that energy so that you can now speak. Because in shamanic practices, the part of the training is that you have to be an empowered woman. It's a feminine practice. So it's about embodying spirit requires power. You can't be nice. You really can't be, because when spirit comes in, if you're monitoring through the human mind, you're not going to have any power. You're not going to be able to heal. You're not going to be able to help people, because you're not speaking truth.
And spirit doesn't come through that, because it's your mind that's speaking. It's not your spirit guides. It's not.
No. That's why a lot of people are not real. It's fake, because they're not opened yet. They're not the hollow bones. And so part of the practice is you got to let go of all that human stuff.
I like that. The hollow bones. Right. I like that. Yeah.
You have to be open. And so in order to open, you got to release all that toxicity, all that junk. And that's why most shamans, monks, tantric, people are all somewhere remote
and wild.
And wild, and usually single, or if they have a partner, their partner is completely devoted to them in spirit. Because in shamanism, they always say, like, if you have a partner who's trying to dominate you, the spirit world will kick them out.
Absolutely.
Because they're bothering you. now they're in the way of spirit. You got to get out of the way.
The same way in Tantra, and it's a lot of us that would do this practice, specifically yoginis, we're mostly alone.
Yeah.
Because it's just because you don't want to be, with someone that is going to bother you. They have to be in the same level. Like I always say, in my path, if If someone shows up and is like this with me, I will be there with them. You know, if it isn't, I'd rather be alone. So spirit knows when to bring the right one for you. So if you have the patience and the knowledge, then, and you sit in your feminine wisdom, then that's going to show up, you know?
Yeah, and it would take a very strong person.
Strong male. Yes, strong masculine.
Yeah,
Even
strong
vice versa.
masculine or feminine or whatever you are. But it takes like a person who won't stand in the way and be very strong with you in the way.
Exactly.
So, you know, because like, you know, like we talked about, healers live crazy lives. They're just like, well, I don't know which way the wind's blowing. You're going to be here. You're going to be there. I don't know. You know, we're never, and we follow spirit because spirit is ultimately leading the way. And when you're doing your ritual, that's too what's happening is that you will start writing about something and then it'll go into something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was actually what you're really, most of the time we think this is the problem, but actually the problem is over here.
Exactly.
And so when you're writing, just allow spirit to lead the way and take time to look at it and feel it and be like, you know, I'm done. We talked about that last time. I'm done with this. Like, I'm really done with this. Empower the doneness, the finish, the completion. I'm done with this energy. And I think it's going to be something that's a pattern that people have been avoiding that is now ready to be released because it's the time.
It is.
It's the time, especially for feminines out there. It's the time. Let go of the people pleasing. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the I'm not good enough or I don't have enough or whatever it is.
So, you know, write your full moon letting go energy, but empower it. That empower it. Yes, that is our actually ritual that we will recommend. And you know, it's such a powerful way just to make it your life very simple. Doesn't have to be too complicated. We make it complicated in our heads, you know. Like I would say a very simple example today. And I was going to a monastery that we have here, and it's the Mother Mary Monastery. And actually, she's got lions. She's with lions, like they call it. They call her the Lion Mother Mary, which to me connects very much like Durga, correct? Because she sits on a lion. So yeah,
that's cool.
You know that if you research and you find it everywhere. You know what I mean? That a lot of the names of the goddesses connect to other things. And anyway, so she represents by lions. So it's my favorite monastery, and I wanted to go to a store that they sell, you know, like breads and cookies and sweets and chocolates and all that stuff to get something for the nuns. And because it's the holidays, you know, it's a common thing in Greece to offer something. So because I live in an island in the summer, most of the stores are closed, but there's two different stores like that. One, if I go from my road to the right, and one if I go to the road by the left. Normally, go where I go to go that way, I would take the right, but I decided to take the left. Okay. And it will take me out, but it takes me a little bit in a different way. So I get there, and there's this lady, daughter's lady of the owner that is in the shop, never seen her before. So she comes up, how can I help you? And everybody was eating in the corner. The family was like, had some great food, and the food was smelling great. I was like hungry now. To buy my chocolate. So she comes out, and I said, you know, I like some chocolate. And she said, I have those that have rum in it, you know, like liqueur in it. Sorry, not rum, but liqueur. And I said, no, I'm going to the monastery. I told her which one. And then she comes around. She said, we can take those because they're very nice, and it's just pure chocolate. She comes around after she puts them in the box, a beautiful box. And she says, you know what? This morning I was there doing a ritual for my little child. And now, and I don't even serve in this place. I said, yeah, I never seen you. And I've been here like 6 months. She goes, no, I never come out. And there you are asking me to make you a beautiful package for, you know, with chocolates for the same monastery that I just did a ritual for my daughter. She goes, how did that work? You know, she was stunned. She was like, cannot believe it. But that's feelings, that's where we need to go with intuition, because it's magic when you follow your heart and you follow your intuition and you empower. Even that little package that I got, it's powerful.
Yeah. And to see that's spirit.
Yeah.
Because you could have went right and ended up in a whole nother frequency, or you could have went left. And I think that is really powerful for people to remember going forward, is always follow that path, even though it's a longer way or it's out of your way or it doesn't make any sense or whatever, is because every time I do that too, I end up exactly where I need to be, and I'll meet somebody or I'll have a conversation or I'll get information or I'll learn something. And sometimes it's the wrong thing too. It's like, well, I'm never going there again, but now I know. Like now I know. But sometimes it's that too. But a lot of times it's that magic, it's that mystery, it's that, awe.
And it was a woman serving me that she was already there doing her own ritual, puts her hands, pick up the chocolate, put it in the box, I'm talking the heart chakra, and gave it to go back. I mean, the full circle, It's
Yeah,
so amazing when we live in that empowerment, in that power,
and that's the power of ritual, right? That's the power of ceremony, is that they knew which chocolate you needed, and the person, because that's a big thing, is the person serving you.
Absolutely.
From their hands, from their, heart, how are they serving you? Yeah. And I think that's a big thing too to look at. And I was telling my mom that the other day. Next year, people are going to be very cautious about where they spend their money, because money too now is coming from the heart.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And because of the economic conditions, people are going to be more, aware of it.
Exactly.
They're going to be more aware. And so they're going to look at little things like the service. They're going to look at, do they like that person? Do they trust that person? Do they want that? Is it worth it?
Exactly.
And it's all going to be about the heart chakra. So I think a lot of people who've been making money hand over fist off of stuff that is low quality and low service are going to be in a very rude awakening in the next couple of years, because people are not going to be frivolous like they were in the past.
Yeah, they're going to make sure that everything they receive is connecting to their energy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's especially this next generation coming up. They are more aware of your energy than your looks, than what you're saying. They're adept. They know what the tricksters are, and they are very connected to how something makes them feel.
Exactly.
And that's going to be the energy going forward, and that's mother. Yep. That's the mother energy. Mother is all about the heart. And that's why the ancient ways are always about the heart. Right. It's all about the heart. And so that's why the cold moon is a tougher moon, because you have to face your heart.
Exactly.
And the heart is an ocean.
Huge.
It's an ocean. It's an ocean. So get your rituals going and dive into the ocean and prepare, and know that, this is the time of the heart connecting, going deeper in, and nobody knows your heart but you.
Other than you. Exactly. So when you write your ritual, think about it, feel it from your heart. Think about it, of course, but drop it into the heart and then write it. Let it go, flow out of your hands. Doesn't matter if you're left hand or right hand. Doesn't matter. That has nothing to do with it. It's just both of them represent your heart.
Yeah, and honor it, and maybe even hold it, like, right here. And before you burn it or release it, you could also release in water or whatever. But it's really about the honoring of it, because your heart, those feelings, those emotions are sacred, no matter what they are.
And if you bring it together, it's your masculine and feminine in union.
You're bringing it back to wholeness.
Wholeness, exactly, which exists inside of us. On that note,
we could go on forever.
On that note, just want to say thank you. Have a great, great full moon. Enjoy your ritual. Connect to your heart chakra, and Just feel your life. What do you have to have a wish, maybe?
I want just happy closing of this cycle, and be well, be happy, be merry, and take time to go in, because I think at this time everything's out, but try to stay within your power.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. Take care.